Hey good people, Batavia here. We're in the front yard garden and we're going to dig through a couple of beds. Okie doke, so quick housekeeping items. Thank yous to those who like, watch, comment, share, and subscribe to Be Better Garden. We appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed already, consider it. There's a button below. And if you do, hit the notification bell so you're alerted each time I share more hashtag garden joy. Alright, so last time we were in the backyard garden, we'll link the video. We went through all the raised beds back there. This week we're going to start digging through some of the front yard beds. So let's dig in. All right, so I wanted to show y'all a view of the front yard from kind of the outside. So basically, it's a wall of sunflowers, and I love it. And I also have the front yard flower bed, which has gone crazy. Every morning on my morning garden walks, it gives me a chance to look at kind of the beauty from the outside, like what my neighbors and passersby see, and it's just such a lovely sight. Love this time of year, love this season. So inside of the front yard, we have lightly planted this year. We had beans and spinach here and peas in the spring. We came back with my neighbor who came down at the end of June and direct sowed some zucchini here. And then we did summer squash here. And we did 2 seeds per hole basically. And it's super hard for me just to toss a seedling. So when they both germinated, I basically transplanted them a few inches over. So you can see I did that for the yellow squash as well as the zucchini. And we're hopeful for these plants because the plants I planted earlier have been really just, they're suffering from squash vine borers. And they're not putting on fruit. And this may be the squash that we eat this year. So I also have a couple of cucumber plants. This is your straight 8 cucumber. These are planted a bit later than the others. And it's starting to put on fruit, of course, and starting to spread, which is good because some of my other cucumbers are suffering a bit. And we'll see those in the inside of the trellis. I did want to show one of the now mini sunflowers. I decided to cover it with tulle fabric. I'm going to try to harvest the seeds. So it has a huge head. It's one in each corner. That's this one. I'll put the name of the sunflower that I grew there. But I'm going to try to cover both of those and harvest the seeds. And we'll probably let the birds and probably the squirrels have these other that are on the outside of the front yard garden. They're tall and beautiful, and in part we want to give back to nature, and in part we want to not strain ourselves by trying to climb high to get to them and cover them. But taking a look at what the trellis looks like. So these are 2 cattle panels that are connected to the outside of these beds. This garden in the front yard was established, if you will, in 2019, and we've been expanding it since then. But this is the 3rd summer I've planted in these beds, and things are going pretty well. There is a bit of sickness on the inside, which we'll talk about, but these plants that I planted here are really starting to take off. So I'm going to try to remember the names of the plants. A lot of these started off super small when I transplanted them from the grow room after hardening them off into the garden. These were planted around May 25th-ish. So I think, yeah, these are the habanadas. Let's see if I can get focused in there. So these are supposed to be a mild kind of habanero type flavor, but not with the spice. Next up we have chocolate bell peppers, and they have put on some nice fruit. So for now it just looks like a regular bell pepper, but we're about 90 days off of my average first frost. That's around October 29th, and so I'm feeling good about these plants producing in advance of that. So we have the Corno de Toro, which these are going to be some huge peppers. These are going to be great for everything. A lot of peppers on these plants. I've been tying them up. We have King of the North. This plant looks good. It's putting on peppers, still some new flowers. This one back here, I think this sunflower has, you know, overshadowed it. So I have a couple of plants. You can see it's kind of leggy. where it is really trying to fight for some sun. So the sunflower we speak of, this is the Lemon Queen sunflower. Crazy, right? Oh, I love a sunflower that puts on multiple heads. All right, so these smaller ones, I can't be trusted to know what they are because I was stuffing pepper plants everywhere. So it looks bell pepperish, but not sure what kind. Next up is tame jalapeno, which is giving you the jalapeno flavor, but with not as much heat as what I'm expecting. This is the first time I've grown these. And so there are 2 plants back here. And then next up, giant Marconi, which I'm looking forward to. So these are, well, we're gonna assume that's what they are. Again, I can't be trusted to have properly labeled all of these. This is more peppers, maybe more of the Corno de Toro, or more of the giant Marconi. It'll be easy to tell once they start to ripen. I do know these are sweet banana peppers, right? So we have a bunch of peppers on these plants. I'm trying to let most of these get more ripe, kind of get redder, or they'll probably get at least orange before I start harvesting them. So here are 1 of 2 tomato plants that are in the front yard garden. I did well with the green zebra last year. It's kind of hard to see. You can see the striping on some of the tomatoes here. That's the distinction with the green zebra. I have on the inside all of the things. So these are cucumbers and melons. We do have a little bit of trouble here though. I think it started with the cucumber plants. There's some sickness. The leaves, I've been pruning and pruning. And generally speaking, I normally would run into powdery mildew coming up this month. So we haven't run into that for the cucumber plants. But I think whatever's happened with the cucumber plants has basically spread to the melons. And so I have heavily pruned the melon plants. And the issue is that cucumbers, like I can do at some point without because they put on a lot of fruit, but I need to keep the melon plants healthy until the point where these melons get ripe. So we're hopeful. We have a moon and stars plant here and here. This is both watermelons. And I think these are going to be like how large they get. So now it's a matter of waiting on them to ripen. I'm pretty certain this is a mango melon, which was a favorite last year. This is supposed to be an orange watermelon, but the plant has a bunch of spots on it, so I don't know if it's going to make it. The plant, I should say, the fruit has a bunch of spots on it, but we'll see. We're keeping an eye on it. Volunteer zinnia, look at the size of that. I do have one other volunteer, so check this out. This is the asparagus bean, the yard long bean. And I am so excited about this one because I grew it last year and they got away from me, right? It's, you know, it's a lot to keep up with. And by the time I got to harvesting them, they had kind of a chalky flavor. And so I said, you know, I have to figure out a better place to plant them. So I didn't plant them at all this year. And then I had a plant that looked like an actual vegetable plant, but I wasn't sure what it was. And so I decided to let it go, hoping that it was a volunteer of that particular yard long bean, and it was. So we're keeping an eye on it. My cucumbers, all in all, even though the plants look sickly, they're producing. I am going to do a clean sweep of cucumbers. These are not, I mean, these are probably right at the point when it comes to harvesting, but I'm ending up letting some of them get too big. And that's a great size for like just a single, like 1 cucumber, if you want to can them whole. But it's kind of hard to keep up with. I'm probably going to move the cucumbers back over to bed number 1 next year. We'll see. I also have some lemon cucumbers that are finally coming in. I thought I only planted lemon cucumbers, which didn't quite make sense, but that's what my tags had. But clearly I did national pickling cucumber and lemon cucumber. The lemon cucumbers take quite a while to put on fruit from the last couple of years I've grown them. A couple more melons. Here's some This is a cantaloupe, I'm pretty certain, based on my tagging and based on the look of the plant. I think either of these are going to be cantaloupe or maybe honeydew. Yeah, we have some of the things we did, just a couple of vegetable plants. You can see the peppers aren't that large, and that's clearly just based on shading. But I do have some itty bitty melons that are coming up here. So that may be one of the orange melons. We'll see. I mean, 90 days, we'll see if it actually gets to the point of getting to size and ripening. It's gonna be a fight to the finish line, but we'll keep an eye on it. So this is the other bed. This is basically bed number 3 in the front yard garden. This sits on the other side of the trellis. It is doing really well. It is absolutely overcrowded, you know, kind of the way that I garden. I know better, but I cannot do better. I have Cherokee Purple, which, oh my gosh, the size of these tomatoes. Oh, I'm so impressed. Another gardener, and thank you again, recommended Cherokee Purple when I was asking about kind of, you know, trying some new varieties. Super pleased. The plant is loaded down, and I'm so excited about kind of what these are going to taste like. Keeping an eye on it because, you know, obviously it's exposed to the elements, or more specifically the squirrels. We also have the Sugar Red Rush peppers, which were seeds that were gifted, and they're doing really well. I tried one of the peppers at kind of this early stage before it kind of gets to the point of ripening, and it definitely has heat. It's kind of mild, right, at this stage, but it absolutely has some sweetness, which is pretty cool. So I'm interested in seeing, once it gets to full maturity, what it really tastes like. More of the Yellow Mission marigolds. Volunteers. So I talked about volunteers in the front yard, which they basically surprised me, I don't know, maybe last month. And I talked about them as if I was going to pull them up, and clearly I didn't. They started to put on some small fruit. This is the green zebra plant. So they volunteer because I had a zebra plant, green zebra plant planted there last year. I have the makings of this pale yellow dahlia. Ah, I just love it. This one has started to bloom and has been blooming, and I don't know, how do you not leave this here? I'll have to figure out a better plan for them because they really deserve their own shine and their own spotlight versus being kind of tucked in here. But still a very nice surprise this year. We have a bunch of jalapenos that are putting on, plenty of peppers. We have another volunteer here, which the responsible gardener would pull at this point because it's probably not going to put on fruit, but I'm not always known as that. We have one of the sunflowers that I put in the middle of the bed, which is still pretty cool. My cucumbers, this is where they're being hidden, like that one. Don't know when it got that big, how it got that big. I'm going to do a clean sweep today. I'm going to commit to that, and we're going to get a fresh start on keeping up with these cucumbers. So these are long Thai. A gardener gifted me these seeds, and this is the first time I've grown that particular pepper. We have one more dahlia plant here. Well, we have a couple more. I think this is, oh, I don't, maybe, we definitely know this is the poblano, because I'm familiar with what that looks like. I'll put on screen, because I think I do have this noted, what this plant is. And if it's not on screen, I couldn't figure it out. This is the surprise pepper plant, which I'm pretty sure is either a jalapeno or a tame jalapeno. The tame jalapeno back here is suffering a little bit. You can see some of the spotted leaves, but it does have pepper so far. Okie doke, so thanks for spending some time with me. That's going to be part 1. We will come back next time with part 2, where we'll walk through beds 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 in the front yard garden. In the meantime, if you have any questions or comments or suggestions, feel free to leave them below, and I shall see you all on the next one.